Today I wanted to talk about how I got my raises and how you can as well. I want to discuss what managers can do to help get raises or avoid doing what I had to do to get raises. You'll understand what that means in a second. And what SEs should be doing, or what actually any engineer or any employee can do to get the raises at the right time, at the right place. So we'll go through that. So I got my first job in 2009. I did an internship at Nortel in Canada in 2007, 2008, but who didn't at that time? But my first real full-time job, where I was a full-time employee, not a intern, was at Alcatel-Lucent in 2009. Then I moved to Spirent 2014, Ixia and Keysight. Keysight acquired Ixia in 2018, and I've been with Veeam for 4 days. So this is my fourth day. So how did I get my raises? Well, so when I first joined Alcatel-Lucent, I was a support engineer, not a senior, I was just a support engineer, and they had different levels. The second level after support engineer was intermediate, and then you have senior. There's two intermediates and a senior, the way they did things. So I started in 2009, and by 2010, I was able to get 8.6% raise. Keep in mind that my salary at the time was so low, so 8.6% raise is a few $1,000s. Okay. And in 2012, so this is not right. Let's do it here. Around 2012, I switched to a network design engineer role. Now, when I was in support, part of our job was to carry what they called a pager, which is basically a flip phone at the time. And what happens is if a customer gets into an outage, they call first tier support, and if they can't resolve it, then they call third tier support, which is what I was. So carrying the pager, just carrying the pager, being on call 24/7, is like $400 a month, $400 for a week paycheck addition, and you carry it every other month or every little while. There's a rotation within the team. And Alcatel-Lucent, that's a pet peeve I have, which I understand though. Alcatel-Lucent has the policy that you cannot move laterally within the company and get a pay raise. And they do that so that people don't continuously move from one position to another within the company and get that pay raise. On the flip side is, it's better than leaving the company to get a pay raise, which I'll get to in a second. So once I got this pay bump, or they matched whatever I was making. So basically it was not a pay raise. I was making that money through a pager, and because I would have lost that money when I went into network design, I asked or negotiated to maintain that number. So it was a 7.9 pay raise officially on my pay stub. From 2012 to 2014, I was doing a senior person's job, and I was an intermediate network design engineer. So for the 2 years, I was asking for a pay raise or a promotion. And the excuses are the same you probably heard. We don't have the budget. The company's not doing well. We have to fight with a whole bunch of other people who are also asking for raises. So in the end, by 2014 came along, I was fed up and I found another job. That other job gave me a 32 pay raise on the base only. And if I hit my target, it's a 76% raise. So notice, 8.6, 7.9, 76. And my worst year at that company was an 87% quota attainment. So I got 87% of my quota, or 87% of my commission. The rest of the time I'm exceeding quota. So I was making that money. And they also had bonuses, they had karma, when you get into sales engineering, it's pretty much similar. And the sad part about it is when I called my manager to say, hey, I just got an offer from another company, his response was, well, that's so funny. I just received the approval to give you a 6% raise. But let me see if I can make it 12. At which point I told him, why bother? I'm getting a 32% raise on base only. Well, it's a sales job. You might not get your commission, whatever. Yeah, yeah. But I'm getting a 32% raise on the base only. So even if I sell 0% of my quota, I'm still making 32% more money than I would be with my current company. And if you give me a 12% raise, that's a 20% increase. Why would I take that? And you'll see a trend. So I joined Spirent in 2014 with that pay raise and pay bump. And I was a sales engineer. And I got promoted to senior sales engineer in 2015. Now, that happened because the competitor, which is Keysight Ixia, came knocking on my door. And they said, we can pay you 25% more. I didn't go through the interview process. I just had a chat with the manager. And as soon as I left that coffee meeting, I went and talked to my manager. And I said, like, hey, the competitor's coming after me. I want to work for you. They said they can give me a 25% raise. What can you do to help me? And he's like, I'll match it. And bam, 25% promotion. Now, what he had to do to get me that. Hey guys, Ramsey from the editing booth. What I was saying here, and for some reason the audio cut out, is what he had to do to get me that raise. Let's go back. His upper management that I got an offer. Because if he said, oh, Ramsey didn't get the offer yet, they might tell him, let him go get the offer and then we'll talk about it. But he liked me, he had faith in me, and he did what he had to do. The downside of that is that left a bad taste in their mouth. Like, Ramsey's going to leave us. Ramsey doesn't have any loyalty. Where in fact I did have loyalty, mainly to my manager. But, so I stayed with that salary range from 2015 to end of 2018. And that's where I started seeing, you know what, there is no room for growth here. The Ixia director manager came knocking again. And again, first meeting, after my first meeting, and he told me, we didn't discuss money at that time, but we had this first meeting, he really wanted to hire me. I called up my manager and I asked the simple question of, what is my future within Spirent? His response was, there is no future, I'm leaving, you should leave too. So I asked the question, I told him, Ixia or Keysight is coming after me. What should I do? Should I go? He's like, I'd hate to see you go to the competition, but you should leave Keysight, you should leave Spirent even if it's there. So that kind of tells you, like, if your manager's telling you, you know what, join the competition, you join the competition. So when I joined Keysight, the way they wanted me to work was as a hybrid SE, but my official title was regional sales manager. But I had one account and one customer set, and I did everything from pre-sales to post-sales. Every year after that, they kept adding more accounts to me, so it became less and less of a hybrid. But I got a 50% pay bump. 31% of that was on the base. So my base went up, and also my OTE in general went up. In 2021, the dreaded, I don't know if you've heard the story, but if you haven't, I've told it before. I went on paternity leave, came back. I was a solution specialist working for a different team. But I didn't get a pay raise. I didn't get anything until 2022, where they gave me a 4% pay bump. Notice, within the company, the pay raises are minuscule. They look big here, 8.6, because my salary was low. But effectively, an 8.6% raise at this point in time might be as big as the 4% raise at this point in time. Actually, it's a small. It was smaller. From 2022 till 2025, I was working with my management team. What do I need to do to get a raise? What do I need to do to get a promotion? So they have different levels. I was at one level. I was doing the job of someone at a higher level. My manager was saying like, "Yeah, you deserve it. I'm gonna work for it." My director said the same thing. There were a couple other guys asking for the same thing, but when push comes to shove and it was time for them to actually give me that promotion that I was promised, the VP said, "You know what? Give it to one guy, not the other." But so since then, I moved to Veeam. I didn't get a big pay raise, but it opens up opportunities for me within Veeam and even maybe outside of Veeam. We don't know. But it was a 5% pay bump on OTE, but it's a 17 pay bump on, this is not OTE, this is base. So my base went up, my commission pretty much stayed the same. So why does this happen? Right? We always laugh like, hey, it's not your money. Why aren't you giving me a raise? So what's stopping them from giving raises? HR policies. HR policy has a HR may have a policy that you can't, if you move internal within the company, you don't get a raise. If you we can only give you X amount of raise per year or per every 2 years, whatever it is. So there's a lot of bureaucracy involved, which kind of sucks. Uh, there's a salary raise pool that people get, managers get. Like there's a VP or the highest level manager. They have this amount of money they give out for raises. They pass it on to the directors. They split it amongst the directors, who then split it amongst the managers, who then have to split it amongst the team. And managers have to kind of juggle who to give. So they have many people to please. But also, like in my case, I was asking for a higher level. Another person was asking for a higher level. There was business justification that we both get that promotion. But in this case, the VP was cheap. He's known to be cheap. I'm not saying anything that's not known. But in some cases, let's say you're a senior SE and you want to become a principal SE. The business does not justify having more than one principal SE on a team. It could be like the smaller team, or it could be under the director of solution engineer. It could be under the VP. There's a certain number that once you have like 3 or 4 principal SEs, it just does not make sense. We don't need four principal SEs on a team. If you have a team of 6 and there's 3 of them that are principal, something's off. Something's happening. So, what can managers do? Well, for one, not piss off the SE. Right? I got pissed off when my VP said no for no reason other than I just didn't want to pay you. Right? One, two. There are other things that you can say to a person that will piss them off. For one thing that happened with me was, well, you didn't get the promotion because you didn't do that extra thing that we asked you to do. And I didn't do the extra thing that they asked me to do because I didn't get the promotion. I was going to do that extra thing. But if I were to do that extra thing, I'll be doing the job of an even higher position person. Right? If you look layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, I'm at layer 1, I want to get to layer 2. They're asking me to do someone that is in layer 3 or level 3. And when that person said, "Oh, you should have been doing that," that's where I knew like there's no appreciation. So show some appreciation, I guess. Fight for them to get the raise. Fight for them to get a bigger raise than it is. Don't wait till they get that offer from another company for you to say, "What if we match it?" Or "Let me see if I can match it." At that point, I don't want you to match. Right? In my previous company with Spirent, I wanted the match because I wanted to work for that manager. I wasn't trying to squeeze or milk a cow. I'm not trying to get every single cent. I'm trying to build that relationship with my manager. I knew how to work with him. I loved working with him. I'd rather match and stay with a person that I know, that I like. But if you just pissed me off, I have no reason to want to stay with you. I don't have faith in you. I don't have trust in you. I don't want to work for you. I don't have a reason to work for you. So if you're pissing me off and then you tell me I can match it, it's not going to work. I want a higher raise. It has to be an incredible deal. So you probably can't afford it. So don't let that happen. Fight for them to get that raise or that promotion. And if you can't, for example, Bill Belnave, he mentioned that I cannot have more than one principal SE on my team. That was in a previous job, I can't remember when, but he said it a while back. I cannot have more than one principal SE on my team. So I asked, all right, what happens when someone who deserves it doesn't get it? He's like, I'll help them find their next thing. If I, as a manager, helping a sales engineer find their next thing within the company or even outside the company, I know that this person is moving. I can start scouting for their next SE to replace them. I can start transitioning. It could be internal within like support, could be external from the competition or from a customer. I can start scouting and start kind of grooming the next SE to come and take over for for as much of a seamless transition that could be. And if they don't do that, well, they're going to lose money. They didn't want to give me the raise because they were cheap. Well, now there's no one to do the business that I was doing. And not to toot my own horn, I was very good at what I do. So if they hire someone new, one, you're going to have to figure out where to find that person. I was technical, I was salesy, and I could do everything that I needed to do to close a deal from A to Z. You're going to have to replace me. If you're a good SE, they're not going to have an easy time finding a replacement for you. It's going to be a lot of stress, a lot of pushing from management. Sometimes you're going to end up with a bad SE. You're going to hire a bad SE because you didn't scout ahead of time. But you're losing money because that person who you've already invested so much money in is bringing in a lot of money. Now you're going to have to bring in someone new, train them. That's a few months before they're actually effective in the field. And now you have to go and build the relationships with AEs, with customers, learn how to do the demo properly. I just copied and pasted these two, so these are incorrect. You're going to look bad as an SE manager because why do you have churn within your team, especially if you have a lot of churn? So all this to say is you're going to lose a lot of money. You're going to lose a lot more money than giving that person the raise that they deserve. And more than a 4% or a 10%, it has to be a good sum. Otherwise, they will find a position outside that gives them that big raise. But what can an SE do? Work with your manager to get the raise. I worked with my manager. I didn't get the raise, but I worked with my manager to figure out what I need to do to get that raise. And I got that commitment from him that I'm going to get that promotion. Right? I figured out what the process. So then when the director tells me, well, you should have done that other thing, I was able to defend myself and say, no, I shouldn't have. That director came back and apologized, actually. He said, you were right. I shouldn't have said that. But still, I didn't get a raise, so I was already pissed off and I was already in the interview process with Veeam. So you have to work internally within your company to figure out the process, figure out what tasks you need to do to be at the higher level. Network like crazy in the meantime. You can network internally and externally. Dig your well before you need it. Stand up for yourself. That's what I did with my management. Like, I didn't say yes and took it and stay with my job. And I'm going to add one more thing. Don't be complacent. I worked with so many, like my friends at Alcatel-Lucent. They stayed in their positions for so long just because it was easy. They liked it. They knew how to do it. But they were severely underpaid. And I talked with them for 10 years. And then when they moved, and most of them became solution engineers, because of my influence, I like to say, they're all happier. One, they love the job. Solution engineering is nicer than almost any other job. But also, they get paid more, they get challenged more. So just, it's time to find another job. If you're not getting what you want internally, don't be afraid to leave. It will be bumpy, it will be scary. I'm in a different industry altogether. I'm learning so much. I'm drinking from a fire hose. It's been 1 week. I've been on one customer call and I've already been effective because who knew solution engineering skills were transferable? You don't need to be an expert in technology to be a great solution engineer. I've been on the job. I jumped on a call yesterday. It was my third day on the job. I had a positive impact on the call. If you need help, if you're a manager and you're looking how to you can maintain your people, how you can make sure that you don't piss them off. I was willing to stay with my manager at a lower rate because I loved working for him. Rick, my current manager, I've known him maybe 4 weeks. I feel like I can work for him forever. Things might change, you never know, but initial thoughts are so he's building trust and money. I didn't take this job because of the pay raise. The pay raise was not significant from a OTE standpoint. It is significant from a base standpoint, but that's not the reason I took the job. I took the job because of Rick. So if you need help, either reach out to Rick and see what he does so well, or come to me, I can help. Whether you're a manager or a solution engineer. If you want to see what makes a great solution engineer, check out this video here. And I will see you next time. Get back to work. Peace.